You're very welcome along. The Inter-County GA season is back, and it's back with a bang. I'm going to cover all these GA TV fixtures, plus every single football and hurling league fixture this weekend. Yes, the club finals in Croke Park, particularly that epic football final and the finish to that football final has whet the appetite for the new Inter-County GA season, which gets underway this weekend with the national leagues, both in football and hurling. And as I touched on in the intro, I'm going to get to the TV GA games, all the National League, football and hurling fixtures, and also explain what broadcasters are in line to show games in the league versus the championship, and why ultimately there's more free-to-air games in the National League. So before we get going, I'm really bad at asking for this, but I think 90% plus people who watch my videos aren't subscribed to the channel. If you want sport from an Irish perspective, bit of a different take on sport, if you can take 2 seconds and hit that like and subscribe button, be much appreciated. But let's get into the TV games, which you can see to my left-hand side, and the GA on TV this weekend. So it's going to start with Dublin versus Kerry in the LGFA. An exciting year for the LGFA, given that they are now taking on a lot of the new rules from the men's game. Personally, obviously, this should have been done a year ago, but it's great to see at least they're better late than never in terms of those new rules. So likes of 3 up, 3 back, 2 pointers, that sort of thing. It's going to try and open that game, because ultimately a lot of the games near the end of the season versus the men's game were very lacking in that entertainment, a lot of defensive football, that sort of thing. So that's 2:45. That's live on the TG GAA main channel, which are showing incredibly amount of games. I think 40 something throughout the season. Now, full disclosure, I had recorded this video already with Meath versus Derry not in it, but I just seen an updated list on Wednesday, which shows that Meath versus Derry is now going to be shown on the TG GAA player or the TG GAA app. This is actually in Croke Park. It's the curtain raiser to Dublin versus Donegal, and it is going to be live. If you want to watch it on the TG GAA app, TG GAA player, absolutely fantastic news. I actually said it was the one game I was disappointed it wasn't being shown live, so I had to redo the video, but well worth doing that. 5 o'clock sees Dublin versus Donegal, and Ger Brennan's first National League game in charge of the Dubs. He's done a lot of good things in Dublin in terms of looking outside Division 1, Division 2 for potential talent. Has played a lot of young players in the O'Byrne Cup. Fascinating to see how they get on against a Jim McGuinness Donegal side who've also added a lot of young players. And I heard Jim McGuinness speaking after one of their preseason games saying they are targeting this Dublin game in Croke Park and getting that Croke Park experience. So Donegal obviously came so close to winning the All-Ireland last year, getting to the final, but of course that final performance was very, very disappointing. So fascinating to see how that game goes. I'm really looking forward to that one as well. It's actually a cracking double header in Croke Park, and personally, I think I am going to go. I'm just deciding there. But if I do go, I am going to get the Meath versus Derry game in for sure. Tyrone versus Kildare, that is on the GA Plus. If you're in the south, up north, you can watch on the iPlayer and the BBC Northern Ireland website. To my knowledge, I think if you're down south, you have to have GA Plus to watch it, but maybe there is a way through on the BBC website. But that's Tyrone versus Kildare, 6 o'clock. 7 o'clock is the first hurling game. This is the RTE game. RTE typically will have one game each weekend during the league, and it'll be that Saturday primetime slot. Now, it will move around depending on, obviously, the Six Nations, URC, but for now, Tipperary versus Galway, 7 o'clock live on RTE2. And let's move on to Sunday. You can see there, Galway versus Mayo. That's on the live main TG GAA channel. We've got Kerry versus Roscommon. Said Rossies there just for character and to fit it into one line there for any Roscommon fans. I'm not just using your nickname for the crack, but that is on the TG GAA app at 2 o'clock. But if you do want to, no spoilers, 5:35, it will be shown on the TG GAA main channel. Monaghan versus Armagh. Same thing as Tyrone versus Kildare. This is live on the BBC iPlayer up north, GA Plus subscription, if not. So that's Monaghan versus Armagh, 2 o'clock. And 3:45, you can see Cork versus Waterford in the hurling. That's live on the TG GAA main channel with League Sunday, the highlight show available at 9:35 on Sunday. Incidentally, TG GAA have their own highlight show as well, 8 o'clock on Monday. So just before I get to the hurling and football fixtures, to explain why we're getting a lot more games, TG GAA are basically picking up the slack here with as many league games as they can possibly show. And even the fact that on Wednesday, to my knowledge, this wasn't up on there. It wasn't actually. I was checking this site web regularly. There's a TG GAA sports schedule site on their website. Very handy. It's constantly updated. They did add the Meath versus Derry game, which shows there's a bit of flexibility to that, because that wasn't on their original list that was sent out and was published in the likes of the Examiner or stuff. So I'm quite excited that they can just throw games on the app. And obviously it helps that they have cameras in Croke Park already. However, props to TG GAA, I can't say much more about them. It's just a pity they don't get enough championship games. Really, really disappointed. Hopefully they can sneak a few, perhaps, because in the championship it's RT or GA Plus, and there are a lot of games on GA Plus. We TG Car here, which means people are just seeing a lot more of the National League games. And when it comes to championship, that's why people are disappointed. There's a lot of games on GA Plus. And let's go quickly towards the fixtures. So you can see here, football fixtures there. The camera indicates live games. And I think I put this up on Monday, and there's been a lot of games added to the likes of Tyrone Kildare, Monaghan Armagh, and Meath versus Derry, of course, are on TV. And in the video I recorded, I did say Meath versus Derry is the one game that I wish was live. And now that it is, maybe Cork Cavan 1:30 Sunday. That's in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. But by and large, you've got most of the big games from Division 1 and 2, to be fair, covered live. Division 3 and Division 4, it would be nice, obviously, to be able to stream every one of these games. I don't see why we can't do that in 2026, but maybe a debate for another day. And I looked through the hurling fixtures. I do think hurling this week, one or two more games could perhaps have been shown. And again, it's not TG Car's fault. They're putting up as many games as possible. RT only have the one game. GA Plus is there. Again, as I said, with the football, I don't see why they can't stream one camera, two cameras for every one of these games, or at least Division 1, A and B. So you can see there, perhaps Kilkenny Offaly, Clare Dublin, both in the 2 o'clock slot on Sunday, could perhaps be available to watch. So maybe disappointed. Hopefully they're featured in the highlights on League Sunday. And just to explain that, you won't see Limerick, for example. There are 7 teams in both Division 1, 1A and 1B. So each team gets a bye week, that sort of thing. But yeah, that concludes. I've run through the GA on TV this weekend very quickly, all the football and hurling league fixtures. If you'd like to see more of this each and every week, leave us a comment, let me know. And I might continue this on a weekly basis. If you want more information, less information, snappier, or real in-depth previews, let me know in the comments. And as I said at the start, if you can take 2 seconds, hit that subscribe button. It would be much appreciated. But we'll chat to you hopefully next week.